Hello, my loves, and welcome back to Along This Spiritual Journey. So, there's the individual and there's the culture. I have been all over this app, and you keep seeing these platforms of people, no matter the topic, may it be masculine, feminine energy, or politics, they talk about the individual experience as if that trumps the culture. The culture is created because individuals decide that that decision of how they want to act, how they want to talk, how they want to be represents their identity. And so, therefore, the collective culture becomes that decision. Now, I'm not saying that that's correct or wrong, but that is the reality of everything in existence. The part of spirituality that helped me gain my own identity back, because I grew up in a very religious household, and I think this is a lot of our backstory. America was raised on someone else's culture and religion after it took others. Let's just be real. And so now we identify with morals around certain people's cultures and belief systems. And then when we try to go out into the world and identify ourselves, the reality of how we interact does not always line up with other people's experience, which is okay. We don't all have to match each other's experience, but we do have to recognize what the culture produces so that if you are a part of a culture that you did not ask to be born into, but you are born into, understand that if you participate in it or if you willingly accept it as a part of your identity, then you are now saying whatever that culture does is okay. Are we following? Doesn't matter what it is when it comes to what you believe. If that is not what you represent, then don't say it's who you are. If it is not something that you believe in or have experienced, then don't stick up for it. It's that simple. It drives me nuts when I see somebody talking about their individual experience within a genre. So let's say I'm a singer, right? And I'm talking about things that singers do within a certain genre. And then you say, well, that's not my experience. This is what I went through. Or my mom and dad, they've been together for something, some years, and they've always said that. None of that is relevant to the point, right? Those are pieces of the puzzle to a bigger picture. When we understand that individual experience is a collectiveness of consciousness, and then we see where it goes and what it becomes, concentrated energy will always go where it wants to go. So if you're so focused on that's not how I sing, then that's not how you sing. But as a singer, you have to be aware that that is still a part of that culture, and you just have to say, okay, I don't understand it, I don't get it, but I probably haven't experienced it yet. So let me not identify as that thing until I know more about it. You can identify as whatever you want to, but that is not who you should try to put all of your eggs in one basket, right? So let me try to make this a little less confusing. If someone is talking about how they've experienced the world thus far in America, someone across seas telling them how they should feel makes no sense because they haven't experienced America and vice versa. Now, as a human, in general, they can find ways to empathize with that person's situation. And if they are culturally the same, right? They can probably understand some of the backstory of how they were raised to get into that situation. But that still does not mean they fully understand or can comprehend that person's individual experience. And therefore, whatever culture people create around it does not identify and collectively label everyone. Subcultures exist within subcultures of cultures of cultures of cultures always. There's always going to be something that someone else does differently that is not to your experience, but it doesn't mean that it's not true. When you learn in spirituality that my spiritual journey is going to be completely different of how I find who I am. How I got to this part, I am not like everyone else. I went through homelessness. I went through different situations where I put my body in situations that I probably shouldn't have. I drank a lot, I partied a lot, and then I woke up one day and said, I don't want to do this anymore. Not because I'm judging others. I didn't want to make my body decay any faster than it had to. I didn't want to keep putting myself in situations where I didn't understand that why, when I put this substance in my body, I feel so good, but when without it, I don't. I wanted to explore that part of me. That's spirituality. So that means my spiritual journey of why I let go of alcohol and drugs and partying is going to be completely different than somebody else who is motivated by something different, who still gets to go through the spiritual journey. They might not identify it as that. They might call it sobriety, but it's still a spiritual journey. So when you can start identifying these huge umbrellas that a lot of things fall under, you will be less likely to feel triggered. You'll be less likely to feel the need to try to stand up for something that, again, you don't believe in, versus just saying, well, they're along that journey, and that's the part of the journey where they learn awareness. That's the part of the journey where they get pissed off. That's the part of the journey where they feel the release. It's understanding that every single thing we do is a step in our own progression. Even when it comes to dating, there's people out there who like, I don't understand why the dating world isn't working for me. Well, it's because you're trying to date like other people. Your individual experience is going to be completely different on how people approach you based on how you, again, represent and present yourself. If you are the type of person who gives it all away right away, then you're going to fall into the realm of, we don't need to label, right? You already know. If you're a person who gives nothing away and you hold it all in, okay, well, now you're going to be labeled as a prude. That is your choice. Nothing wrong with that. But you're still both experiencing the dating world. May there be somebody in the middle who gets everything. Everybody hits on them. Everybody wants them. They have plenty of sex partners. They have no issues getting dates. That's still not everyone's experience, but it's still part of the experience. You understand? Recognize what part of the experience you're experiencing so that you stop feeling left behind in somebody else's identity. It's so important to understand how to identify yourself first. Then you identify which culture you'd like to be a part of and participate in. But don't just be born into a culture and then own that culture as if it's only yours. You see people do this with white, black, this, that, gay, here, that. Trust me, I am a black gay man. I understand, but I do not identify as either one of those. I am both of those. When I say I can be both, but not identify, I identify as a human being, right? That's my choice. I identify as a human first, and then the others are subparticles of who I belong to per se, right? Learn how you want to present yourself, and that will present the type of experience you have on this earth. So because I don't identify with everyone's subcultures of who they feel they have to be because everything is happening to the culture which they were raised in, then I don't have to feel so bad when things don't go the way that I want them to. Of course, I'm going to experience some of the same things that other people are talking about that they experience. Does not negate their existence or what they went through. But it does tell me that we have a little bit of ways to go, and as long as I keep identifying with what I choose to be, then I will not feel so lost when I go back into the culture. Because it is hard to watch gay people get abused. It is hard to watch black people get abused. It is hard to watch white people not understand why these things are going on, right? This is a cultural thing. But as individuals, I'm not expecting anyone to own that. Right? I'm not expecting anyone to not find their best excellence. I'm not expecting anyone to not know who they are because no one ever gave them the ability to express without being crapped on. You have to know how to hold yourself up, period. That's the whole point of what I'm talking about. You have to know that the individual is the individual and the culture is the culture. And as you walk into this world, if you know that, then the culture around you will slowly change and you will call in the energy you want. If you don't and you just take on that culture because of the identity given to you, then yeah, you're gonna feel stuck and lost and you're gonna be triggered about a lot of things that don't belong to you. It's understanding that we as humans have the ability of discernment. That's what discernment is. I am having an individual experience, yet I'm having a collective experience. I identify as me, but I can identify as these things that also can represent something outside of me. But still know who you are without losing translation of what you think you are, okay? I hope that made sense. Love ya. Bye. Mwah.